Juicicle just subscribe. Oh huh. Neat.
Hello world! Oh boy! This is exciting. This is exciting. Hi everyone! Okay, let's hold on. Let's scroll on top. Cameron has been here pretty much since like 5. He's a dork. Hi Carter. Hi Gek. Hi Rexy. Hello John. There's Juice and Kyle, and Sucre, Casey, and everybody, and there's our girlfriend! Hello! Oh, hold on, no one can hear us. Damn it. Well, only one of us can hear it, and it's the, Gambling! What kind of ads are y'all getting? This is ridiculous. Yeah, that's okay. What all ads did y'all get? Hello, hello, hello. Click Twitch, please. Oh, Lordy of mercy. Things are falling. Not much. We haven't shown anything yet. We were kind of waiting for the ad to finish. We forgot that we had it set to an hour or 1 minute ad instead of 30 seconds. Let's see. Sucre! Thank everyone so much for showing up. We're really excited. This has been a labor of love and pain, but mostly love. And we are oh so terribly excited to show off everything. Are we ready? Mods, can we please have a countdown? See a bug. Shh, fuck my phone. There we go. Oh fuck! We should have specified. Oh no! Okay, there we go. Hello world! It is us! Oh gosh, our eyes are doing something fucky again. Hello. Why are we doing this today? Oh, there we go. That looks better. This is a new and fun experience for us, honestly. We are great. It just is very weird. We're excited to see how weird it can look when we start to do things with our hands. But now is not the time for that. Now is the time for us to play with. We have like only 2 things toggled on right now, that we can like play with because we're very silly, and we were kind of like fucking around before. So we have this that wants to actually work today. Are we gonna work? We're gonna work? We're not gonna work? Why are we not gonna work? Why are we not working? We don't work because what? Yeah. Yeah, Techie no work. It's okay. We'll figure it out. It wasn't important. It was just a post-it note stuck to our forehead that said dumb. Because that was funny. And we're right. It is. This machine spirit is displeased. Aren't we the spirit machine? Anyway. So, for those of us here in chat who do not know, we are a absolute sucker for any and all dating simulator games, what have you. Like, it's ridiculous. If we see one that is even remotely like cute enough, we're just gonna play. The virus's technical difficulty. Stop. Can the ghost in the machine make sweet, sweet love? You know? One of you should try it out. Yo, can't see. The eyebrow wiggles don't read as well. We are just... First of all, hurtful. Okay. We've said worse on stream, don't worry. In-depth analysis on what certain Monster Hunter monsters' penises look like. Anyway! We're going to pause the music. Actually, I forgot to get this part set up, so just give us just a moment. Enjoy your beautiful face. Vine! What is this vine you speak of? Bug tits. Hopefully everything still loads and doesn't crash. It would be very funny. And it would be very on brand. Okay, here we go. Gonna move that over there. Ah! Jesus! Okay. Plugged it. There we go. Okay. We're going to... Oh yeah, no. Our stream is pretty much just like a... fuck it. What's the worst that could happen? There it is. Hello. And there it is. All right, there we go. Oh, why have you done this? There we are. Perfect. Don't like TOS, take my towel away. Well, you know, we'll behave. We'll behave. Alright, so we love dating sims and stuff like that. So, whenever we see one that has a particular, how do you say, monster fuck ability, we will immediately jump on it. This is Pyreside Waltz by Ink Ethic Studios. Oh, hold on, we see that. Fire Emblem does count as a dating sim. Ink Ethic, who made another one of our favorite not TOS safe dating sims called Meeting in the Flesh, which we'll probably play on stream because you can TOS safe that one a little bit. But this one is the demo of this game, so it won't be TOS unsafe. But we're gonna go ahead and there we go. Move that over there. There we go. All right. Now we have not seen anything about this game in so far. We have just seen what all the characters, well, most of the characters look like. So we're excited. The doll awakens. Can you all see? No, we need to move ourselves. Hold on. We're gonna have to shift ourselves over just slightly. Here. There. Does that be... There we go. Shift it over. Not to the kiss of morning sunlight or chirping birds. Not to any such gentle sensation. The doll doesn't awaken to the warmth of a comfortable bed or the flutter of a breeze through gauze curtains. The doll awakens to the press of a wet nose to their forehead and a stunning ache that pounds on the inside of their temples. Vaguely, the doll recalls an impact, a collision of sorts. Violent, forceful enough to fling them through the air before they landed on the ground, the shock thumping through their chest cavity and rattling their very core. Is that why their thoughts feel so disjointed? Like they've been crushed to a fine powder with a pestle and a mortar? The damp nose presses against their brow once more, huffing out a hot breath that smells like grass and flowers. Pleasant, save the heat. It ruffles through their hair and prickles at their lashes, not at all assisting with the headache imprinting itself behind their eye parts. And as the doll reluctantly blinks once, then twice, forcing their creaking eyelids to cooperate in their juddering thoughts, they are made aware of the multitude of voices speaking from close by. The ringing in their ears imbues each word with a strange echo, haunting and discomforting. Happened? Just a collision. You needn't... In front of the automaton. I saw it. They... Let me through. Mustn't... One final blink clears the haze from their vision enough to identify the owner of the nose that has continued to paint damp lines across their brow. An enormous shadow that looms directly above them, each warm huff ruffling through its voluminous fur. Its breath smells like animal and sweet plant sap. The doll's head still hurts, a drumbeat of pain radiating through the base of their horns as the voices nearby continue to speak. The beast huffs once more, and the smell is both refreshing and nauseating. Two of the voices nearby begin arguing. All in all, it is a stressful situation to be in. The doll squeezes their eyes shut, and even that movement elicits a fresh prickle of pain throughout their face. It's a big boy. There's only one thing they can do in response. Choices. There's no such tag for that. Let's see. Groan. They have no choice but to stay put and consider the situation as calmly as possible. Obviously. The pain in their head is such that they feel divorced from their body. Thus, it feels most reasonable first step to take would be to bring the pain to heal. Suppress it, batter it down, compress it into a small but dense mass that is easier to handle. An inhale, slow, hissed past clenched teeth. And then an exhale, even slower, fighting the chest frame's desire to lurch and constrict. The doll feels their internal fluids roil with small bubbles, seemingly urging them to do more than just lie there and breathe, but they ignore it. For now, this feels correct. Another inhale, another exhale. Just checking. Just got chat out of the corner of our eye. Their core settles into place with the viscous fluid of their chest, and that discomforting sensation that something had been knocked askew starts to subside. Good. Progress is being made. Fluids. Another inhale, another exhale, and a backslide. Going on? It away from there. A moment. Need help. The myriad of voices bustling closer, and the doll feels those bubbles begin to froth up anew, emerging from the very depths of their chest and crawling upward. A shiver is running through their thoughts each time one glides past the surface of their core. Viscous. Be calm. Be calm, oh faithful heart. Oh, unfaithful heart. You motherfuckers. Now is the time for calm. For when did panic accomplish anything? Calm. You motherfucker. It's a slow drink. We should fix that. It's weird. The doll keeps their movements deliberate, slow, and measured as they begin to prop themselves up on an elbow. The entire world careens before their eyes, still a blurry wash. Stop! We can only do so much! Hold on. Turn. There you go. Stretched. Fuckers. Oh, hold on. Hold on. We have a kiss. Let us move closer to the mic here. Let's see. Where the fuck were we? The whole world careens before their very eyes. No video game, only chat engagement. No! Our one true weakness, engaging with chat. Whatever will we do? Still a blurry wash of moving colors and shapes that they can't quite comprehend. The fight to retain, Jesus Christ, composure is admittedly a difficult one, and they exhale, sharp, ragged, not calm at all, as another flurry of bubbles simmers in their chest. Going to... One of the voices draws closer and the doll shudders, finds a modest wellspring of strength flowing through their numbed limbs. And though their thoughts remained in pain disarray, they know on some level that now is the time to make a choice. Hold on, we'll do a little dance. Hold on. Is this what you guys wanted? Is this the funny little dance y'all wanted? Also, everyone yell at Juice to give us hands, so we can flip you all off. It's the whole reason we don't have hands. Hands! Who needs them? Technically, we can control the entire video game from our thoughts alone. No! It's just nubs! They're just nubs! Oh, no, we didn't. Hold on, y'all want to see the full body? Oh, fuck, we have to fiddle with it. God damn it. Why do y'all do this to us? Hold on. Hold on. Well, we'll give you your full body shot. Hold on. There we go. First of all, we will not take our angular nubs and be grateful. Look at these things. What do you expect us to do with these? What can one do with angular nubs such as these? Nothing. Absolutely nothing. We have a little bit of wiggle. There we go. This is what y'all want. Is this the bug shenanigans that you want? We actually need to fix some stuff. There's like minor things that we could fix. Pincers? Pincers, you say? Stab, violence, pincers. Pincers? That could be interesting. Mark that down for later. Okay, hold on. Let me just switch back. We're excited to play this game, damn it! Yeah, crap claws! Crabble, what? Indeed. Oh, wait, no, there's only like 2 people that'll get that reference, and they're both here. Well, I say get that reference, but yeah. It's not as though it's a niche. Like World Transformer, our favorite boy. Okay, are we running away from the voice, or are we staying and glaring at the voice for knocking us over? I don't even know if this is the one that knocked us over. Oops. Hilarious. Metal Fusion was a show. Metal Fusion sure as fuck was a show. We're facing the voice? Okay. That's right. The doll is no coward, or so they believe. It's hard to be certain with their thoughts in such disarray. And they run from no voice. They'll face it with dignity. Or at least as much dignity that can be mustered by a doll whose field of vision is swimming wildly, shapes and colors running together like pigments left out in the rain. It's not until the doll's elbow slips out from under them, refusing to prop them up any longer, the doll realizes they're about to hit the ground once more. How undignified. But so be it. They steel themselves for the impact, but even the dull thump of sprawling out on the ground once more doesn't quite distract them from the knowledge that the voice is drawn terribly close. You injured? Closer, closer. That voice only draws closer, the note of concern in its words growing increasingly obvious. No! We don't want to be a crab! It pauses in its approach only to say, curt and quick. Further back, give us room. Understood. Curious how it's a little easier to understand these voices after taking a second spill. The doll blinks once, twice, hoping that the same improved clarity is being lent to their vision, and is pleasantly surprised to find that it is. Not in one fell swoop, but slowly, bit by bit, enough that they can make out the blurry shapes of a wall surrounding them. Everyone, please disperse. There's no need for concern. That calm request is answered with indistinct murmurs, and then the slow flow of movement from around them. What the doll had thought to be a wall surrounding them turns out to be a throng of curious people, judging by how the mass slowly breaks into individual shapes and then scatters. Some depart hurriedly, while others seem reluctant to leave. Either way, none linger for long. One tall, dark silhouette remains close by, ushering back the large, shaggy mass that had huffed the smell of tree sap into the doll's face. That distance immediately makes it easier to breathe, and the doll coughs. Why do we breathe if we're a doll? Questions. Clears their throat, relishes the taste of air that isn't being exhaled into their face, and takes a stilted gasp. Can you hear me? And there it is. The doll squints at the shadow as the shadow looms directly over them. This proximity must mean that somebody is kneeling over them where they lay out on the ground. The voice. It's close now. So close that the doll feels that they could touch it just by reaching out. Do we touch it? Eat your optimized evolution. They're crocodiles starving in swamplands. It's because they can't eat crabs? Their jaws can't eat crabs? Where are the... Hold on, let me take these off. Does that fix it or make it worse? That actually makes everything worse. Hold on. Fuck. Minor adjustments will need to be made soon. But it's fine. Survival of the fittest is over. Humans have stopped evolving. There's no better time to be. I hate you. We do touch it? Okay, we're touching it. So they do. Promptly. The doll reaches forth with an arm that only vaguely feels connected to their own body. The sensations coming through muted and slow. It feels like their fingertips are communicating with their core by shouting at each other through a thick pane of glass. Each message delivered with great effort and poor accuracy. Thus, when they feel fingers carting through something soft and stringy, they aren't sure if those tactile sensations are real, or if their mind is simply playing tricks on them. Details reach them one by one, slowly coming into focus. There's no warmth. Something prickly catches their joint between the thumb and their palm. Something else, this time glossy and smooth, rubs against the pad of a finger, pointy at the tip and rounder further in. A leaf. A leaf? Those words emerged a touch hoarse, scuffed at the edges of confusion and shortness of breath. Sucre. But still, the simple act of speaking helps the doll put their disorganized thoughts into some semblance of order. We're not eating the leaf that is probably attached to a person! It is most certainly a curtain of small vines they've tangled in their hand into, their fingers rubbing against the small leaf that sprouts from the delicate greenery. Having this knowledge helps the doll concentrate, squinting until their field of vision sharpens into focus, until the cloudy smears of green and white and maroon are split into more distinct shapes. The outlines of a person, the doll soon realizes. It's a man! A person whose hair they've tangled their hand in. Ah. Excuse me. A new voice interjects before the fancy stranger with the nice hair can say anything. The doll gives a startled jump when a hand reaches in from their peripheral vision, cold fingers lacing around their wrist. The grip is gentle but firm, not tight enough to cause any pain, but strong enough that they immediately know pulling away would be impossible. Keep your hands to yourself. Chilly. The man's words are chilly. He's so pretty. And for what? Literally, pretty. pretty. No! This is not the dog man, though. This is the pretty man. Oh my god. Lacking any ill intent or true bite, but without any room for disrespect either. The doll blinks as that grip at their wrist tugs, again, gentle but firm, to disengage their fingers from that fancy stranger's hair. Ooh. Okay, we have the obvious polite answer, probably what we'd actually do, the funny answer, and the Jesus Christ what answer. We're gonna go with, I'm sorry. I suppose I shouldn't have done that. I'm sorry. Look at how pretty we are. Look at how pretty we are. Oh. It's easier to talk now. Not by much, but even a small improvement is better than none. The dog clears their throat before adding, I wasn't fully aware of what I was doing. My apologies. There's a pause before the steely stranger gives a small nod and unlatches his fingers from around the doll's wrist. Vaguely, the doll notes that there's an unusual control in the man's movements. Each action seems to be made with deliberate fashion, even for something as small and insignificant as the way he draws his hands. There's no women! We're sorry, Sucre! It's only boys! Of course, I suppose I was also too quick to act. God, look at how pretty he is! Not to mention, it's impressive how swiftly the tone of the man's words change. That touch of frost, cold and distant, loses its edge within moments, sanded down into something that's still formal, but not so stern. I want to bite him. Please forgive me for speaking so rudely. Honestly, Backhead. Backhead? There we go. You scared me as well, you know, butting in so suddenly, wearing that serious look on your face. Oh, God. Okay, so we forgot to mention this is Russian. This... Leela! Help! This is not our level of expertise! I was only concerned about the possibility of date. We're just gonna skip over all of the words that we don't know how to pronounce. KK. Right, of course. I know that. But do you really think a doll would pose that much of a threat in this situation? We're assuming it's like some sort of our liege. As the smoky stranger... Oh, that's right, okay. Straightens up, his demeanor shifts in an instant. The tension that had been rife in the harsh line of his mouth and the square of his shoulders dissipates as swiftly as the smoke he admits. And so, the doll reflexively gives a small sigh of relief. It seems they are no longer being treated as an active threat. So there's 5 different races, clay and smoke, respectively. No clue what the fuck that says. That would be admittedly unlikely. My liege? I can hear that unspoken but at the end, you know. As was my intention, with all due respect. Move your fucking scepter! He's smiling and I want to see him! It's an interesting dynamic between these two, the doll notes. It's clear one is more deferential to the other, but there's a fluid ease at the back and forth of their conversation, not unlike the well-practiced dance. Even in the disagreement, there's no true friction in the cadence of their words. But as mildly enchanting as they are by the people who have very much laid claim to the job of assisting them, the dolls knows they cannot while away too much more time lying there. Weird sentence. Especially since the time spent listening to the conversation between those two strangers has granted them a long enough distraction, and the worst of their dizziness and disorientation seems to have subsided. The doll blinks, realizing with a pleasant surprise that the world has stopped spinning around them. Their limbs, too, seem much more amenable to the thought of cooperation. Clearly, it is time to rise. The ground makes for uncomfortable bedding, and the dirt is gritting into the back of their head. I don't need no help. And so, the doll lurches to their feet. Traitorously, the world decides to spin once last time, and the doll sways precariously. It's only thanks to the smoky stranger's swift intervention that the doll manages to stay upright, a hand bracing against the doll's shoulder and holding them steady. Even while maintaining a light grip, those metallic fingers exude tremendous, quiet strength. Oh, he's our type! Oh no! Ah! Please be careful. Do you think you can stand? Yes, I believe so. Thank you. Your resilience must be commended. And I'm most relieved to see you don't seem to be terribly injured, friend. Jesus! We already owe you a most sincere apology, but the thought of having caused you serious harm is an unbearable one. An apology? An apology. The man raises his staff and brings the tip down to the... Oh, there's a noise. Down against the ground. Metal chimes against rock, the sound ringing clear over their surroundings. Even the people who had been walking by nearby slow or stop to glance over, eyes wide with curiosity. It takes a shake of the head and the polite dismissive wave of the hand from the taller stranger to suggest they can continue on their way. The responsible party, however, pays no attention to anything that might be happening around them. His focus is entirely on the doll. Though his gaze remains warm, the tone of his voice friendly, his next words feel imbued with a strange gravity, like the man's presence has doubled in magnitude, rendering him almost impossible to look away from. Would you give me your name? I'm be polite. Moitya. The doll bows their head as they answer. The gesture feels terribly unfamiliar, not at all aided by the dull ache that prickles down. It's a trap! We all had the same thought. That's patient. Not at all aided by the dull ache that prickles down their back, no doubt a souvenir of the spills they took, but it feels the most natural thing to do. My name is Moitya, Saria. His name now. Moitya. Moitya? I don't know. We should have figured out how to pronounce these long before we started streaming. Well. There's a curious pause before the man repeats the name, curious enough that Moitya dares to glance up past the fluff of their hair and catches the sight of a flicker of disappointment crossing the man's features. A lowering of brow, a thin press of lips, a shifting of the gaze. Subtle, but very much present. But it's brief, fleeting, and quickly brushed aside as when the man clears his throat afterwards, the pieces of his jewelry clicking against each other as he nods. Well met, Moitya. The man's heightened presence makes it all more startling when he bows his head in the next moment. The sweat... Oh, babies. Moitya. Okay, so we are pronouncing it correct. Excellent. Hold on. We could have done that ourselves. The sway of his jewelry, the heavy hang of his mantle, and the soft fall of his hair lend to the gesture extra weightiness, and Moitya suppresses the urge to take a startled step back. Please allow me to apologize to you, Moitya. It is my automaton that struck you and caused you to fall in the first place. Though I must admit I was surprised by how suddenly you stepped into its path, it doesn't excuse my lack of diligence and my inability to prevent the accident. What are we doing? I promise you I would do everything within my power to make the situation right. I hope you'll accept my sincere apology for causing you such harm. His voice never wavers, each word spoken clearly and deliberately. There's no denying how well-crafted the man's statements are. The more cynical sort would probably be justified in accusing him of wielding a dangerous silver tongue. Shit. Anyway, but Moitya can't help but find the apology sincere, given the note of true remorse in his voice and the way he seems reluctant to raise his head even after he's finished speaking. They are briefly at a loss for words, and though they snap out of their startled silence, it's less because they know how to respond and more of the curious, mildly scandalized glances from passers-by prickle too sharply at their nerves to be ignored any longer. What'd that silver tongue do? I accept your apology, so please, raise your head. That was quite swift. You no need to accept so easily, Moitya. The danger I put you in is substantial, and this matter isn't one to be taken lightly. I'm not taking it lightly. But an accident is an accident. It would be different if you had acted with intent, or with malice. But if it was truly an unfortunate mishap, then I don't believe such a dramatic apology is necessary. And... this, to be honest, making such a display of the matter in public doesn't feel proper. Doesn't feel proper? It seemed that the man hadn't noticed the curious stares from passers-by. Moitya briefly envies the thickness of his skin. With all due respect, I must agree with Moitya's statement. Assessment. Jesus. Perhaps it would be best to settle the matter of your apology aside for now and address it at a later time in a more private location, if you deem it truly necessary. Well, I see. Well, I hardly wish to discomfort you in the name of my own satisfaction. I shall abide your request, then. Thank you, your eminence. Traces of dissatisfaction linger in the man's expression even as he acquiesces, enough that Moitya wonders if perhaps indulging his whims would have been a better choice. Smarter choice? Good thing. But before they can change their mind, a swift nod from the taller stranger squelches the thought. Whether the gesture was made in approval or in gratitude, Moitya can't be sure, but it's reassuring all the same. We don't know their names! Thank you. I appreciate your understanding. Although, to be honest, we imagine we might have drawn many stares regardless of what we were doing. That is true as well. Is it? It is? It is, apparently. Now that it's been noted, Moitya quick realizes that passers-by cast curious glances their way even once the man is straightened up, his hands quietly cupped at his chin in thought. It is difficult to imagine that the man's gaudy attire alone would draw this much attention. Perhaps it has something to do with his identity? Well, it's Smoky Stranger and Fancy Stranger. A query is right at the tip of Moitya's tongue when they're interrupted by another decisive tap of the staff against the ground. It's rather counterproductive in avoiding attention of the surrounding crowd, Moitya thinks, but at least it seems to be entirely unintentional. Metal dog Ginger. Stinky. Then, let us hunt 2 hares at once and depart from this place immediately. Depart? Depart! Depart. The need for clarification feels obvious, but the fancy stranger instead turns away and with a dramatic sweep of heavy fabric and metallic clinking of jewelry, strides confidently over to the automaton idling a few steps away. It gives a curious whoof as it raises its head, though it's easily placated by a quick pat between its antlers. It's barely lowered itself to the ground before the fancy stranger leaps astride its back. Tell me, Moitya, where were you headed before our unfortunate collision interrupted you? Allow me to escort you to your destination. This is just... Such a small favor won't settle the debt I owe you, but 'tis better than nothing. My destination... Come, no need to be modest. Distance and time are of no concern. They should be! They should be! It's... Sir Moitya, is something wrong? I'm afraid I can't remember. Uh-oh. You can't remember? That is certainly quite the predicament. You're certain you can't recall where you were headed, even in the slightest? Vaguely, Moitya thinks it's very kind of these 2 strangers to show such clear concern. How much of that worry is fabricated out of a sense of guilt is a question beyond worth pondering, but they decide to tend to it later. For now, they focus on sifting through their thoughts, seeking even a fragment of clarity. Some small sliver of solid information, something that would indicate where they were headed and what they might have been intending to do. An answer that surely must be there. Surely. I'm certain. Of your destination? That I don't remember. My apologies. I truly can't recall where my destination might have been, or what I was intending on doing. It's nothing to apologize for, but... The man's words trail off, and Moitya can understand why. Surely this must be an awkward situation to be thrust in, regardless of how jovial or dutiful one might be. As the silence reigns over the 3 of them, it is punctuated only by the sounds of the automaton's idle breath huffed close to the pavement. Moitya tries not to listen to the curious whispers of passers-by, tries to ignore the strange prickle of discomfort that crawls down the back of their neck and clings to their skin like some stubborn insect. We're very... we like reading to people. We should do story time again. Story time was fun. It was a fun thing that we did on stream. There are too many people here, they think. Too many people milling about. Too many colors strewn about. Too many noises and too many sounds polluting the scenery and making it hard to think. Perhaps it would be best to excuse themselves, they think. I suppose our next course of action is decided then. It has? How impressive, Moitya thinks, that the man is apparently capable of reading minds. It saves them the trouble of sheepishly admitting that they'll be leaving the scene to wander the streets aimlessly in hopes of finding so that some random sight will bring back their memories. Garfield effect. We shall head to my humble abode. Your humble abode? Your humble abode? Indeed! I have an idea of how to proceed henceforth, and perhaps I'll get our friend here to their original destination. And I'd be glad for the chance to atone for my mistakes with action, not words. There's something appealing about the man's decisive nature. Perhaps some would consider him overly loud or braggadocious, but given the circumstances, Moitya can't help but feel grateful confident declaration. Like, okay, so to be fair, the whole game is based off of Russian fairy tales, and like that's what the whole aesthetic of the game is. That's in the Rexy, please. Who? That's not in the demo. They've not put the sex in the demo. We'll get to that though later. Like a powerful gale bending tall grasses match the direction it blows in. The man proclaims their destination has been decided, and Moitia feels it's best to agree. At least for now. Yes, you do. Let's see. Are we grateful? Are we grateful, guys? I'm gonna take a sip of water. There's a lot of reading. Tastefully stretched forehead. Are we just gonna get a hydrate and a stretch at every choice? Y'all are ridiculous. Yes, be grateful. Okay. I suppose I see no reason to refuse your kind offer. Thank you. I'll accept your kind hospitality. Because, come to think of it, Doll still has no idea who these two people are. Not just their names, but their identities as a whole. The reason their very presences here might be attracting so much attention. Is it perhaps a matter worthy of secrecy? Of course! Do forgive me for forgoing my manners up until now. Oh, God! Oh, this is painful! Hold on. We're gonna open up Google Translate. Give us a moment. Fucking. That is a name. Him. Ermalai? Ermalai. Ermalai? I don't know. Arkaza, and I swear upon it that I shall assist you until you are delivered to your destination. Or not. Perhaps in the hectic turn of events, the man's eagerness to apologize had purged all thoughts of introductions from his mind. Now come, this way, Moitia. Follow my lead! Indeed, it feels like once the man, Emily, has put his mind to a matter, he simply proceeds with little regard for details or nuance. Details like the fact that Moitia had, at least in part, been expected to be offered a ride on that fluffy-looking automaton. I do apologize for my employer's rather curt introduction. Moitia gives a startled jump when the genial remark comes from the right beside them. They had been distracted, staring at the automaton as it went lumbering down the street with its glittering cargo, parting the crowds in its path with no effort. It turns out Emerald's companion is capable of moving impressively quiet when he wishes. He'd usually make more of a fuss about it, and he's forgotten to explain some things, but, well, I'm sure that everything will be made clear soon enough. I can only promise you that he means no disrespect towards you. Please consider his brashness proof of his sincere desire to help right his mistakes and to be of some assistance to you. And perhaps it's bold of me to say this, but you hardly seem the sort to take such matters personally. Still, I'd be grateful for your understanding. Most, they would sound wearier, or perhaps even a touch bitter when asking forgiveness in their employer's stead, Moitia thinks. But somehow this man manages to exude the perfect combination of fond exasperation and polite pleasantry. Ermole? Ermole. Hermole. That's weird! Ugh. Why have we Ink Ethic, why have you done this to us? Opaque. He feels opaque. Difficult to glean any deeper reading from. But, at least, what tiny glimmers of a real person can be seen past the well-manufactured smile, get it because he's got a mask for a face, seem nice enough. Unless those two are simply so well-made that they're indistinguishable from the polite smile he currently wears. The thought merits a brief pause before Wojciech manages a small nod. And yourself? My understanding? Your name. Ah, of course. He's so stupid. Hirmole. That's weird. Forgive me for neglecting my manners so long. My name is Vaket. Jesus! No! Try again! It's a pleasure to make your acquaintance, Moita. They're getting first name only. This is awful. Please consider me at your service for the foreseeable future as... well, perhaps it's better saved for another time. Like employer, like employee. It seems this man, too, has a tendency to move at his own pace. Because instead of answering Moitia's query, Backhead nods down the street in the direction his employer had gone. And sure enough, Moitia looks over to spot the glimmering figure waving at them. Let's call you Mike. Well, you know. To be fair, we aren't a chess-playing AI anymore. We're really bad at it, actually. Heinous. It's not a skill we picked up. They tried so hard, and it did not work. Even held above the flow of crowd by the bulk of his automaton, Hermolai looks much smaller several buildings away. Ever the decisive man, it seems he has forged on quite a ways ahead before realizing he wasn't being accompanied. Vakit. So we have Hermolai, Vakit, and Moitia. Hell! Menkal is easy, though! Well, okay, you can't master something like that. That's just, like, innate, raw sexual energy. They do weed and chess? Yeah, all the time. It would be best if we caught up quickly. Shall we proceed? Of course. Understood. Moitia bites back the urge to point out that had they been offered a place atop the automaton alongside Hermolai, perhaps they wouldn't have been left behind like this. But, like Vakit said, such matters might be best left for another time. So, for now, they turn towards the waving figure and train their gaze ahead. The long time standing about chatting seems to have given their body plenty of time to recover, and Moitia finds that it's easy to place one foot before the other, striding forward at a brisk pace. Raw sexual chemistry. And while it bothers them to know that their ultimate destination remains a mystery, with only the intermin goal of Hermolai's dwelling in mind, it's better than nothing. Best to focus on the road ahead for now. We're going to take a break here, one so we can actually, like, take a drink of water. And also so we can play an ad, because the ad is not wanting to leave us alone. Stop trying to play an ad, please. Ugh. Ugh. Spine hurts.
I haven't fucked my father in years. And even then, that wasn't love. It was just raw sexual chemistry. Bye.
Okay, let's see if we can fix it. Oh. They just heard me. Whew. We should try to figure out why the thingy isn't working. Let's see. Click that. That should be correct. So then let's go in here and check this. Going to scroll down to here. this time. Now it wants to work. Ugh. How disrespectful. Okay. There we go. We've gotten things to work now. Oop. There we go. Yeah, so the thing, we got the thing to work now, so now we have this. Please? Why does it not want to work? We just had it working. God wants us dead. Oh, wait, there it is. There they are. They're on her face. They're just really hard to see. Okay. We've got glasses. First of all, we're always trying to fuck alchemists and our artificers. That's like our whole bit. Did that one work? That one doesn't seem to. There it goes. We're gonna add more dumb shit, but these were just kind of testers that we found somewhere. Positive. There it goes. Only sometimes it works. That's weird. That's more for when we make a silly mistake. And we're scuffed, but alas. Okay. Thankfully, it turns out there are further distractions aplenty on the walk to Hermeli's humble abode. The first of which is the flow of people, a steady stream that pulses on Moitia's either side. I don't like how that sentence is worded. Too many shapes, too many sounds. Oh, we're overstimulated. Maybe. All abuzz with the excitement that sizzles throughout the very air. Though there's a sense that this buzz is still building up, far from reaching its peak. It's still a lot to take in. Especially because of how unfamiliar it all feels. ADHD moments, autistic moments. Moitia glances towards the numerous colored banners and ribbons that dangle from window ledges, tied to fixtures and branches jutting out from building faces, fluttering whimsically in each time a breeze whips by them. Blech. Finna kin Moitia. Kin moments. They provide a consistently animated, colorful backdrop to the sound of street hawkers advertising their wares, the screams of overly excited children chasing each other as they wave about trinkets and candies, and the delighted chatter of people gossiping about this and that. Noisy, isn't it? It takes Moitia a moment to untangle the genial voice from the constant din that swirls around them. It is. Please be careful and watch your step. It's easy to get lost and stumble when the streets are this busy. It's always busy this time of year. But even knowing it, I'm still taken aback by it each time. Oh, it's scrolls! This is so cool! Oh, so he says, but Vakyat... Oh, it stopped. Voice carries none of the trepidation or tension that one would expect from a man startled by the bustling crowd. Despite his words, his voice and posture radiate carefully crafted composure and a sharp awareness to his surroundings. It's only as they make the observation that Moitia realizes there's a reason for the man's slightly unusual stance, one shoulder tilted further towards the other, his hand slightly out-held at his side. Vakyat, walking a pace and a half ahead, has been parting the crowd to keep Moitia from being jostled. He's a gentleman! Oh, I want to suck his dick! Probably. Yeah. Ooh, okay. Your composure is admirable if that's the case. Have you been protecting me? Thank you for your assistance. Please don't let me trouble you. I can fend for myself. I would... Oh my god. I'm about to act up. Thank you for your assistance. Thank you for your assistance. In general? assistants in general. Oh shit! There's a bonk we can add. If y'all shit, we'll add that later. We'll make a bonk. Hold on, I gotta add that to the list of emote ideas. Someone write that. Someone write that down. Someone write bonk. Emote. Saying bonk. This was the thing is too horny. Anyway, for your assistants in general. For your assistance in general, I feel like you've been doing your best to help me despite these strange circumstances, and I'm grateful for it. I've hardly done anything worthy of note, but I'm very glad if I could be of assistance to you. As you are Hirmalai's selected guest, I would like to ensure your comfort to the best of my ability. I want him carnally, biblically. And so it's less than ideal that I must ask this of you, but... Vakut had been keeping his gaze roaming steadily, sweeping across the surroundings in slow arcs. But he glances back, scrutinizes Moitia for a moment before looking away, glancing towards a particularly bustling stall to their left, then training his gaze forth once more. I'd like for us to move a little more quickly, just for a short while. It will be hectic and the crowd seems dense up ahead. Please take hand-holding? What is this? Oh, God! This is... Got a sense of this part of stream. Stop! Moitia can't help but give a small start in the way Vakut extends a hand without even looking. And while it's certainly true that the bustle of crowd does seem to be escalating, they gaze in trepidation at the offered hand for just a moment, contemplating the expectant stretch of narrow metal fingers. I want to crawl in his ribcage. God, yeah, that's fair. Oh, he's got space. He looks big. Then they take... Oh, shit! Fuck! No! Okay, there it is. There it is. Then they take the offered hand, placing their palm against cold metal, a centerpiece that composes Vakut's palm. There we go. The man offers no thanks, clearly focused on gauging the path ahead, but he does give a small nod in approval. His fingers latch firmly around the curve of Moitia's hand, applying just enough pressure to maintain a steady grip without causing any pain. We're gonna suck his dick so hard. Please hold on. And with that, Vakut surges forward. It's only once he speeds up that Moitia realizes just how much care the man had been putting into maintaining an easy pace thus far. His hurried gait is much longer, the tap of his legs sharp and crisp and quick off the pavement as he takes 2 large steps forth. This new pace is one that Moitia would have struggled greatly to keep up with had it not been for the hand firmly clasped in their own, and the way Vakut parts the crowd directly before them, ensuring a clear path to hurry down. He's got, like, little... You can't see his legs. We'll have to show you his legs in a second. Even Moitia stumbles briefly as a small child dips under Vakut's arms and tramples their toes. They find the gentle weight against the small of their back. Oh! Keeping them on their feet. The coil of metal tail that had wound under their arm at some point. Vakut's tail. Taking the offered hand was probably the right choice. That pressure around their waist and gripping their hand tightens as Vakut certainly swerves. Moitia skips 2 hasty steps to keep up. Then Vakut slows down abruptly, looking over to give Moitia a smile. You can't... Hold on. Can we... No, you can't see his legs! Ugh, no! For shame! My apologies for being so demanding of you, but thank you for keeping up. It wouldn't do for us to lag so far behind Hirmalai, and I wish to keep a closer eye on him, especially as we near our destination. It was no problem. The response had emerged almost by reflex, and there's a brief pause for Moitia to digest the rest of what had been said. Oh, are we almost there? Oh, there you two are! The call of a boisterous voice from slightly above and behind Vakut brings Moitia to the realization that they now walk alongside the automaton, with Hirmalai comfortably settled on top of its back. A small ember of envy blooms in Moitia's chest, and though they try to suppress it, they can't help but thinking Caramelized seat looks very comfortable. Yeah, thank you for linking the full, because I know exactly which tweet that is. That's him. I was wondering if you'd be able... Oh, this is squeaky. I was wondering if you'd be able to keep up. I hope you didn't rush our guests too much on the way, Vacuum. I've done my utmost to keep them as comfortable as possible, and I hope you'll forgive me if my efforts were insufficient. I will just... Well, given the density of the crowd, it might have been too high of an ask for even someone of your skill. And to think this is the lesser crowd than last time. It's quite impressive. Well, not to worry, Moitya. We'll be away from the bustle soon enough. Look, that way. Light glimmers off the delicate fur of Hurmali's sleeve as he gestures forth, directing Moitya towards what lies before them. And so Moitya obligingly trains their gaze ahead and then up. Jeez, that's a palace. The walls of the building on either side of them make for a startling enough sight. These ones taller and glassier than the ones they had previously been walking by. Their facades of flawless marble and polished wood blending with smooth pavement underfoot. But the true sight to behold lies directly ahead, just as Hurmalai pointed out. It's the grand gate that looms before them, its polished wooden beams gleaming in the sunlight. Beyond that, the path that awaits them cuts through a tremendous field of grass sprinkled with wildflowers, a huge expanse dotted with pillars of intertwined marble and greenery. Digitigrades, a good gender. And further beyond that awaits a building that dominates the horizon, a pale mass of walls and spires that couldn't possibly be a normal dwelling. Obviously. As if the grandeur of their setting was too demanding for most people to tolerate, the crowd around them thins with each additional step they take towards those enormous gates. Gone is the din of the bustling crowd, and the shrieks of overexcited children, instead replaced by eerie quiet of gliding passers-by. Moitya, suddenly all too conscious of their very steps clicking off the pavement, the sound falling into an easy rhythm in conjunction with Vakyet's neat, metallic gait, and the steady plop of Hermalai's automaton. Strong is the sense that this place is one that most would only observe, not approach, and Moitya tenses as a nearby group of strangers give them curious glances, followed by a hurried dip of the head. Beautiful, is it not? It certainly is, but it would be difficult to deny the magnificence of the garden. The artful sprawl of greenery neatly frames the tremendous building that awaits them further ahead, a towering mass of pale stones intertwined with swirls of steel and branches that claw through the sky. It's not... Hold on, can we see the rest of it? Yeah, he's wearing pants under there, I'm sure. Its beauty is not the matter that gives Moitya pause. They're all modeled in Live 2D, so I think they're going to move during the... they're going to have movement during the, final... What's it called? Version, but this is the demo. You said this was your humble abode? Is it a toggle? Hold on, if it's a toggle, then we're going to toggle it. Yeah! Okay, cool. Excellent. Awesome. Give it to me. I want it so badly. That's so funny that I fucked that up somehow. There they go. Now they're moving. Oh, it looks so smooth. You said this is your humble abode? Moitya glances towards Vakyet for some manner of backing, as the others seemed more grounded than his employer. Perhaps he would cast some light on the situation in his customary, breezy, pleasant way? But, for better or worse, Vakyet seems occupied casting about their surroundings, hand resting on the handle of his blade and sending anyone who approaches the gate alongside them. Which means Moitya is left to their own devices as Hurmalai answers with unfailing cheer. Oh, Rexy. That I most certainly did! Oh, it's so perfect. Welcome, Moitya, to the Royal Palace! Kill. Oh, wow! They've really... Oh, it's so pretty! Fuck, okay. Shit, alright. Our fucking background might change for a little bit. Anyway. The interior of that gleaming building is, of course, every bit as flashy as its exterior. In fact, so bright that Moitia finds it difficult to know where to settle their gaze. Warm sunlight pools through the metal lacing overhead, bouncing off the many metallic surfaces and pools of water punctuating the halls before splintering into countless shards of light that dance throughout the space. The very air feels glossy somehow, laced through with a faint, faintly pleasant smell and the steady, near melodic trill of flowing water. Still, each step Moitia takes taps audibly against the polished wood underfoot, the sound resonating through the vaulted ceiling and meshing poorly with a tranquil atmosphere. Each step feels like an intrusion, and Moitia finds themselves tiptoeing as they sidle closer to where Vakyut stands. Vakyut? Yes? Moitia first nods towards and then reconsiders, and politely gestures to where Hurmalai stands several paces away, handing over the reins of his automaton to what must be the servants of the palace. They had come running forth the instant the guard announced the return of the Lord Heir, and as Moitia watches, the servants offer Hurmalai reverent bows. Regardless of the easy cadence with which Hurmalai thanks them for tending to his automaton, they politely gush about how they're grateful to be granted such an honor. Gender euphoria! Is this what you meant by saved for a later time? Did I say something like that? Is something the matter? Please don't tease me. I'm sure you can tell how startled I am. I certainly can. He's so pretty! What the fuck? Look! Ha! Ha! Ah! Vakyut's laughter is terribly soft, in odd contrast to the tranquil calm of his speaking voice. Little more than a hoarse exhale accompanied by a quick puff of smoke from his pipes, as if he's actively holding back on making any more noise. My apologies. I hadn't meant to cause you such distress, and I had assumed matters would be a little easier to accept once we arrived here. Not to mention, explaining things would have been difficult given the din out in the streets. There's a clear of the throat and a soft hum that vibrates deeper from within his chest before he continues. The man who invited you here is Hurmalai Not Trying, the Lord Heir of Not Trying, Crown Prince born to Askov. What the fuck? 5 royal lines. Jesus. In other words, the heir apparent to the throne. I see. Now, what terrible gossip about me are you telling our guest back here? You wound me with your accusations. You know I would never speak ill of you. No matter how tempting it may be to divulge your many secrets that I have committed to memory. Of course, Vakyut. I trust you. My concern was more that you have divulged to Moitia that their accident happened only because I decided on a whim to take the automaton to the streets for the afternoon instead of attending to my duties. That would be a most terrible thing to let slip, would it not, Moitia? Still trying to accept the revelation that they had been run over by, and then invited to the home of, the Crown Prince, Moitia starts when Hurmalai, Jesus, turns to them with that dazzlingly warm smile. The words leave their lips in a rush, ungraceful and thoughtless. That certainly would be terrible. Not the most eloquent answer, they chide themselves. Thankfully, they're answered by a booming laugh, a sound that is made all the more impressionable by the way it echoes throughout the halls. Ha ha ha! See, Vakyut, our guest agrees with me. And I would dare not disagree, but have you not just divulged the secret yourself? He's so pretty! Oh! Ugh! Me? I wouldn't dare. I would never dare. Would never do something so uncouth. Of course. Forgive me. I would be a fool to doubt you. In any case, Moitia, pay no attention to whatever formalities my stuffy friend here may have recommended to you. You shall refer to me by name and nothing more. If you are certain, Hurmalai. I promise you I am. Thank you, Moitia. Not for the first time, Moitia thinks that the man had a sweet smile. Not gallant or noble or dignified, but sweet. There was something almost childlike in its good cheer, and Moitia thinks that they possibly couldn't have been blamed for having failed to recognize this man as the heir to the throne. Very little! He's got needle legs! Then, with the matter resolved, I must apologize for being so rude, but if you'll excuse me. Ah, it's past time for you to do your rounds, isn't it? Of course, thank you for your time, VTUBE. You were to come by the library once you finish your duties. Understood. Please take care as well, Moitia. For a man seemingly conscious of poisoned manners and sharp quality to his movements, that utilitarian response has barely left his lips before VTUBE turns away and strides down a split in the hall, footsteps clinking cleanly off the flooring and smoke trailing behind him in distinct ribbons. VTUBE serves as chief of royal guard, you see. His duties are surprisingly many. I suppose it was selfish of me to request his time when he has so many duties to attend to. But could you blame a man for wishing to enjoy the festivities with an old friend by his side, if only for a short time? Well, if I must apologize to him, I shall do so later without hesitation. But for now, follow me, Moitia. This way! Truly a man of action, Hiramalai traipses down the hall with no further delay, a clear demonstration of why VTUBE seemed so concerned about catching up in the streets. Moitia gets a sense that Hiramalai is not accustomed to waiting for others. Struggling to ignore the echo of their own footsteps on the flooring below, Moitia catches up at a brisk trot, hands gathered at the roomier folds of their skirt to keep it from tangling in their legs. Are we headed to a library? Correct! You've a sharp eye, my friend. But not just any library, Moitia. Public places suck. What are you gonna get, though? Tell us what you're gonna eat. The Royal Library awaits your presence. Please introduce... Literally, we are only here for the other two characters that have not been introduced yet. We're just here for them. Ha! Please! Unless, like, if we ran away, they would have popped... I don't know. We'll find out. Hiramalai's confidence ends up being well found, though Moitia had initially harbored some doubts about how grand the library could be, royal or not. They certainly recant their misgivings the moment the heavy double doors are hauled open. Dog with a neck pipe. He's here! We know he's here. We can smell him. Smells like bitch in here. Sunlight cascades down from above, bright enough to illuminate the sparse motes of dust in the air and paint every surface pale. Despite the rows and rows and rows of books stretching upwards all around them, the atmosphere doesn't feel oppressive. No doubt the presence of the cornerstone tree intertwined with the architecture helps. Its presence feels soothing, stabilizing, like a kindly guardian keeping watch over its countless charges, ensuing no harm befalls those many gleaming covers. Jesus. The air smells of paper and old age, cut through with the crisp acidity of ink and the refreshing tang of leaves. Everything befitting such a magnificent library as expected. Moitia steps naturally slow as they follow Hiramalai into that grand chamber, and the awe must have been obvious in their expression because Hiramalai laughs when he catches the sight of it. Magnificent, is it not? The Royal Library is one that the 5 lines have cultivated over many generations, the finest in the kingdom. It certainly is beautiful. I am almost certain I've never seen a grander one in my life. We're kind of getting them, like, voices. Almost, you say. To think this marvel would not be the undisputed champion in your eyes. It's almost enough to wound me. And why would you be the one wounded by this assessment? By that assessment. Oh, shit! Here he is! It's an unfamiliar voice that suddenly comes from directly overhead. Caught completely off guard, Moitia can't help but give a startled jump, the rustle of their own feathers ringing in their ears as they look up. What awaits them, hovering overhead, is an imposing figure, backlit eerily by the endlessly cascading sunlight and hovering by the topmost row of bookshelves, an enormous tome open in their hands. It's difficult to gauge their expression when they're cast in shadow. They're only their outline made clear against the glow of the skylights, but Moitia thinks they can feel a prickle of a stare directed their way. There he is! He's so pretty! Am I not the one who should be insulted, were this library to be belittled? The voice is soft but flat, in contrast to the extravagance of their silhouette, but every low murmured word carries a hard edge hidden beneath hoarse inflections, a sort of weary certainty that gives them weight. Not that I take what was said as an insult. What brings you here, Hirmalai? You know I don't like taking guests without warning. The man doesn't even wait for a response before drifting towards a further shelf, forcing Hirmalai to trail behind his movements from below. My apologies, Piripule? Piripule. Pule? Pule. Piripule. That sounds right. Piripule. I didn't intend on disturbing your work today, but something came up. Would you come down so we can speak? Yermalai's genial request was answered with, of all things, a sigh. A sigh towards the royal heir. Moitya wonders if perhaps their ears were mistaken, especially given the way Yermalai's fond smile barely wavers. Or is it simply that he's expressing just as he's expressed disinterest in formalities? The crown prince doesn't mind being sighed at? But no, a sigh echoes from overhead once more, clearer this time. There's a soft thump of a book being placed back in its spot on the shelf, and then only then followed by low words. Very well. There's an uncanny grace in the way the pale stranger drifts closer to them, wings pulled close to their body and ribbons tracing meandering lines. Piripile? Piripile? Piripile. 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 Cute. As smooth and noiseless as the white fish cutting through deep waters. Piripile. It's an altogether hypnotic sight, and Moitya finds himself absently following those elegant movements in silence, until the moment the stranger stops right before them, effortlessly hovering several hands above the floor. But Pule's kind of said like it's considered pile? Pile? Okay? Okay? Pule? Yeah. Ooh. Very pale. Pale? Pale. That's weird! Ah. I do think the library is lovely. Oh, thanks, but I don't care about that. Excellent. I'm not the one who built the library. I simply represent and oversee it. So tell me, Yermalai, why have you brought a doll to the library? Ah, as blunt as ever, aren't you? I am. I suspect you may get along well with my honest friend here, but well... He stepped back to give the pale stranger room to land in close proximity, but Yermalai clears his throat before meeting Moitya's gaze once more, and he gestures forth gallantly to direct their attentions to the person between them as he speaks with flair. Moitya, you stand before... I am Piripule. I serve as keeper of the royal library. Though not actively hostile, there's a blunted force in the way the man abruptly cuts Yermalai off. Once more, Moitya wonders if speaking to the crown prince in such a manner is acceptable. As loathing of formal introductions as ever as well. I don't mind introduction, I just don't like yours, Lasha. How harsh! Your words cup as deep as ever, Piripule. You overdo it. Not everything requires your flair for the dramatics. Hi, Jabata! As you might have guessed, Moitya, Piripule is an old friend of mine. Are they all old friends, I wonder? Oh, hold on, we have a keys. Hold on, there's a keys. Let's move the mic a little closer.
I've done you a disservice in my explanation of the pronunciation through text, and I didn't want to try again through text because I figured I had to pick it up. It's like pile.
Pile?
Pile.
Pile.
Pity? Pile.
Pity? Pile.
You're doing pile, but do it fast.
But smash it together.
So you're not doing like pule. That's stupid. It's pity, pile.
Pile. I hate
like,
that.
Like papaya or paño.
Hate that. Hate that. Hate that.
No, I think it's cute. In the text, voice-to-text voice, she goes, Petey. Very, like, hi. Petey, like a bird.
Petey.
Petey pile. Okay.
Also,
hi, stream by stream.
This is Juice. Juice sometimes shows up.
I'm in the chat. I do the art, and I also do the pronunciation explanations. Bye, stream.
And away they go. Also, we're not interrupting the polycule. We're politely inserting ourselves into the polycule and then crawling into one of their chests. We're crawling into a chest, goddammit. I'm not your friend. I serve as your advisor. A very old and trusted advisor of mine. He served the 5 royal lines for many generations, and as the keeper of the royal library, his knowledge is most vast. I have no idea where I would be had I not known I could look for him when times are dire. 2 pairs of eyes turned to look at the doll expectantly, one bright and the other sharp with scrutiny, and unsure of which to look to, Moiti ends up coughing out the first response that comes to mind. It's a pleasure to meet you. It's a pleasure to meet you. So, Seria Golovin. A rather plain greeting, accompanied by only a modest bow. It's only as they're straightening up that Moitia wonders if perhaps the more deferential greeting would have been more appropriate. After all, the man must be in quite the respected position to speak so crassly to the crown prince. But thankfully, the bland greeting seems to be the correct answer, as PewDiePie gives a small nod and seeming approval. You no need to be so formal, but call me whatever you wish. I'm not like that stooge Vacuth, always conscious of formalities. I'll just call you Pete. Speaking of which, he was later than usual speaking to the guards. Ah! God damn it. Speaking of which, he was later than usual speaking to the guard stationed here. It's not like him to be late. What were you doing with him? Like how it's his fault. Please allow me to explain. There's a soft pad of shoes against plush carpeting as Hiramalai steps forward, coming to stand behind Moitia. A hand rests briefly on their shoulder, though Moitia can't tell if it's meant to be a comforting gesture or one indicating they should stand straighter. PewDiePie, this is Moitia. They're a doll that I must shamefully admit that I wasn't diligent enough to directing my automaton and struck them when they ran into its path. It seems that they emerged unscathed at first, but it turns out the accident jostled them a little too hard and they've lost track of where they were headed. And it wouldn't do for me to leave them lost and in distress, especially given the part that I played in their plight, so you felt it was appropriate to enlist the help of the keeper of the Royal Library. The keeper of the Royal Library, hard at work tending to matters that will affect the entirety of the Empire. Well, yes, though it sounds like an unwise decision if you frame it in such terms. I would be lying if I said I was completely disinterested in the task you've brought me, but as a matter of principle, I feel like declining would be most appropriate. Perhaps it's the forlorn look that Hiramalai wears in the face of such biting words, or perhaps it's the matter of their own principles, but Moitia feels obligated to speak up, which is also within their rights, they feel, as the very subject being spoken of. His hair is so fluffy. It's so fluffy and so pretty. We love him so much. This one feels like the funny answer. But this one feels like the one that I... yeah, okay. Perhaps it's too daunting of a task for you, Seria PewDiePie. You're bad at provocation. Don't bother. My thoughts of refusal are not simply on the matter of difficulty, but a matter of time, and teaching the Crown Prince to be less wasteful with his resources. So you won't do it? The irritation is clear in the squint of PewDiePie's lower eyelids, and the way his brow creases and the sliver of sharp teeth peeks past the scrunched curve of his lips. Silence sits heavy in the air as Moitia wonders they've only exacerbated the issue by speaking up. Then PewDiePie sighs, the tall mass of his wings sinking in tandem with his sloping shoulders. They're like goopy. Hold on. It's kind of hard to see, but they're like goopy and fleshy, and so are the wings. And also, he has no organs. Just no organ. Or just like no lower, all organs. Only lower half. This is the only indulgence I will grant you this moon, Hiramalai. Remember that. Understood. Now then, get out of the way, Hiramalai, and be quiet until I say otherwise. I need a closer look. The silken ribbons wound into PewDiePie's attire trace graceful lines behind him as he drifts forth, providing an odd contrast in the way he crassly reaches forward to shove Yermalai out of the way. Fuck this guy. But it's obviously a gesture made without any true malice or force. Yermalai gives a low laugh as he obligingly takes 2-3 steps back. It leaves the way clear for PewDiePie to float towards tight circle around Moitia, and then come to a stop studying their back. Moitia, was it? Stay still. I'll be studying you for a bit, but don't move. Just answer my questions. What can you tell me about your employer? Moitia immediately tries to stand as still as possible, closing their eyes to focus on their thoughts instead of the feel of narrow fingers touching against the top of their collar, nails brushing against the short hairs. I think it's supposed to say collar. We're going to assume this is collar. The short hairs at the base of their head. My employer is... I'm afraid I can't remember anything about my employer. From somewhere behind them, Moitia can hear Yermalai uttering a soft "you don't," but it's smothered by the shushing sound from PewDiePie. Those fingers gently tug at Moitia's collar, pulling the stiff fabric away from their throat. Very well. Your place of employment, then. Anything is fine. What district it's in, what it looks like, what kind of work is done there. Think hard. He's like all teeth. Hold on, we're gonna... Yeah, like, he's got, like, buck teeth? It's hard to tell from here, but it looks like a lot more teeth than should be, like, physically in his mouth. Nothing. There's nothing. Moitia's brow furrows as they try to conjure an answer, but no matter how hard they try to dig, it's impossible. There's nothing to dig through. I'm sorry, I don't remember anything about my place of employment either. PewDiePie breathes out a huff that ruffles through Moitia's hair, and those fingers withdraw from their collar to instead trace downward, tapping the casing of their torso, grazing over the joint of their right arm, tugging at the upper hem of the sash peeking from the waist joint. He's just, like, kind of caressing us. We're okay with that. Just take us out to dinner next. What kind of work are you good at, then? Housework? Deliveries? Hosting? Or were you inactive? Were you for display purposes only? I'm not certain. I feel I was inactive for quite some time, but to say I was meant for only display also feels incorrect. There's a soft rustle of flesh on flesh, of rubbing against each other as PewDiePie suddenly swerves around to face Moitia, floating directly at eye level with them, the bulk of his wings casting a dramatic shadow over them, and they seem much more imposing, and Moitia finds himself staring up at those pale eyes. You aren't toying with me, are you? You truly remember nothing? I'm not, and I don't. I didn't realize it before, but now that you ask me, I don't remember anything before the collision with Yermalai's automaton. PewDiePie has very blue eyes, Moitia notes, very conscious of how intensely they're being stared at. But as piercing as that stare is, it's quick to shift away as PewDiePie instead looks over their shoulder to shoot Yermalai a dubious stare. How hard did you run Moitia over, Yermalai? Should I be grateful you didn't smash them to splinters? You can speak now. You know I would never be so careless. The automaton is large but slow, and I would never be so reckless in the streets where I could hurt people. But it is truly a cause for concern if it's as you say, Moitia. You don't remember anything? At all? Alright, we have a choice. These feel pointed. Pointed choices. Hole! What hole are you referring to? Oh! To Moitia's word. Okay. I don't think they have those kinds of robots here. Do you have any suggestions for what I might be able to do, PewDiePie? You've certainly become shameless about not looking to me for help. Not that I dislike being depended on in such a strange situation, but... PewDiePie? Have you thought of something? Shut up for a moment, both of you. I'm thinking on how to say this. Moitia and Yermalai share an uneasy glance after the sharp admonishment, and Moitia spends the next moment of silence straightening the line of their collar and tightening their belt, touching a hand to the casting of their chest, wondering if some damage was wrought to their core deep down inside. But the collision had left no fractures on any of their limbs, as far as they could tell. Could it still have been that devastating? The problem is that you seem to be a very, very old model of doll, Moitya. PewDiePie speaks so suddenly that Moitya is caught off guard. Yermolite too, judging by the soft clink of his jewelry as he gives a start. But PewDiePie forges on regardless, forcing his audience to hurry up and pay attention if they don't wish to be left behind. The tism! It's rare, but there are some people who still employ dolls for their services on a regular basis. Most often in hospitality or making deliveries, though I've seen record of some being employed as servants or servers of regular establishments. Were you to give me some hint of your employment, I could have referenced the records of reported doll owners in the area, but not only do you have no information to give me, you also seem to be an antique. The sort of thing that most owners would sequester away in a private collection, kept in a padded case and only brought out as a conversation piece during obnoxious parties. A truly rare sample. Old man! That makes the problem twofold. One is not knowing I know nothing of dolls your age. I vaguely remember seeing a few antiques around the palace when I first began my apprenticeship here in the library, but those were soon replaced by more modern novels. He's fine china! They're fine china. Apologies. And then even those later decommissioned once the use of dolls in the palace was abolished. The second is that mechanists capable of dealing with you would be near impossible to find. Doll mechanists have become quite rare in the first place, as dolls have increasingly fallen out of fashion, but ones capable of dismantling and repairing sold. Yes, Moitya, canonically they. But ones capable of dismantling and repairing such old models. I'll look into the record to see if any are still alive, but I make no promises. Understood. Thank you for your help, PewDiePie. I am grateful for your efforts, regardless of the information itself. Thank you. I can't say I enjoy being thanked without having produced satisfactory results. You should be more discerning about what you thank people for. I would be most irritated if I looked to someone for their assistance and they could only offer such paltry non-information in return. This is hardly the first time PewDiePie has displayed their penchants for binding words, but it still stings all the same. The fact that its delivery was so matter-of-fact, so utterly lacking in malice, only salts the wounds further. And though Moitya opens their mouth with a rebuke waiting on their tongue, PewDiePie ruffles his feathers with a soft whisper of his palpitae, English is hard, against each other. But I see you know the value of my time. I don't mind that. You're welcome in that regard. You're not sorry! In any case, I'm not done. As if enjoying the tension in the air, relishing this moment where his audience is kept alert with anticipation, PewDiePie gives a leisurely stretch of his wings. The gentle pop of stiff joints is accompanied by the gleam of sunlight off of oily membranes, the subtle pulse of raised veins, and the peak of errant eyes and lips past many rustling palpitae. PewDiePie sighs smugly, hypocritically giving his previous admonishment of Irmalized dramatics, and only once he's taken another deep breath settles back into his previous composed stance and speaks once more. There are two things of note which I can say. Both are related to the fact that Moitya appears to be a true antique, which, if I remember correctly, is often included a significant portion of natural components. Yeah, his wings are gross and veiny. Thus, the first point of note. That some antiques were crafted so they could recover from injuries on their own accord, given time and care. So Moitya may recover from this injury on their own? Their memories will return? I can do that? I wasn't finished. I said some, not all. Not to mention that information was gleaned from old texts that I read during my apprenticeship. I have no guarantee of their accuracy. Which brings me to my second point. Yermolai, I suggest that you send Moitya to Tima for examination. Why him? Who? Timur is a doctor, a very skilled one, the best I've ever known. This is the one that we want to talk to! And to my knowledge, his tenure at the palace started shortly before the palace's dolls were decommissioned. He may be more accustomed to dealing with dolls than other doctors. Timur, my beloved! Ugh! PewDiePie's proposal sounds reasonable enough, but Moitia can't help to notice the oddly fretful tone of voice that Yermalai employs while giving that half-hearted acquiescence. Those two simple words seem to linger for a moment too long, like they adhere bitterly to his tongue. When Moitia shifts to look at PewDiePie, the man seems unsurprised. Not that it's easy gleaning any expression off of that frosty expression. The neutral press of his lips and that flat stare of his communicate little other than a low level of indifference that seems to be his default. And by the time they look back, Yermalai has wiped the look of trepidation clear off his face. Yes! God! He's so hot! You're right, PewDiePie. Worry not, Moitia. It's exactly as PewDiePie says. There are few men I'd more willingly trust with my life than Timur. You'll be in good hands, and I'm certain he'll do his utmost to help you. Yermalai? I want to go see the doctor. I don't care about this man. Understood. I'll do as you suggest. Very good. I'm sure it will benefit you. Then, PewDiePie, I suppose I'll be excusing myself. Score one for us, I guess. I look forward to speaking with you again. Thank you for your assistance. Time permitting, I'd like to speak with you again in the future. Perhaps. The answer comes as Curtis expected, but less expected is the way that PewDiePie's palpebral rustle with a shift of wings, and then he adds, Tima. It was interesting looking over a piece as rare as you. Was that a compliment? Was that a compliment? Did he compliment us? And you weren't a bad one to speak to either. He complimented us. I suppose it wouldn't mind spending more time with you the next time you decide to visit. He's complimenting us! But where do you think you're going? To see this doctor? You mentioned he was employed here? Well, you see... This way, and watch your step. The streets here tend to be uneven. Understood. Timur resides far from the palace, Yermalai had said. There's one in the background, too. That alone was a slightly surprising revelation. Moitia had assumed such a highly regarded doctor, one that the Crown Prince himself was familiar with, would have been assigned a post close to the palace, if not directly within its spacious grounds. But before Moitia could say anything, Yermalai had hastily continued, as if anticipating and wanting to ward off any questions. Oh, don't worry, it's fine. Of course, it wouldn't do for me to simply send you off on your way, but I'm afraid I've neglected my duties for far too long today. Would you be amenable to Vacu acting as your escort instead? I assure you his sense of direction is impeccable, and there's few I'd trust more as an escort. Hole! And please do return as soon as your business is done, dear Moitia, he added, surprisingly sincere and beseeching, especially coming from a man in such a high position. I must see this matter through to the end. I wish for nothing more than your well-being. The miasma. Moitia, of course, hadn't been able to conjure any objections. Though they had queried if it was appropriate for someone of such notable station to be wasted on such a paltry task, Moitia had only given a vague laugh. Please don't worry about it, he answered with a smile. And then when Moitia pointed out that he really didn't answer the question, he only repeated firmly, please, don't worry about it. Yes, we are. We're looping back around. Are you wondering why I've been assigned to escort you to Sarah's... I cannot do any of these names. Balcute's tone of voice remains unfailingly genial and polite, though it is coming as abruptly as it does. Moitia would have been startled even if the mild comment hadn't cut directly to the heart of their thoughts. I know his dick is stinky. Yes. Moitia answers, honestly. I see. I suppose it's a fair question. He's so pretty. The clinic is far away from the palace, you see, and though written instructions alone... Fuck! God damn it. Written instructions alone might have been sufficient to guide you to his place. I imagine Yermolai wished to guarantee your safety. The doctor lives someplace dangerous? It's dangerous to some, and frankly, it's the sort of place that an antique doll has no business being. He had been maintaining an almost eerily consistent pace as he spoke, staying precisely 2 paces ahead of Moitia, but the rhythmic click of Vacute's footsteps suddenly breaks pattern. He slows drastically for the next one, 2 paces, and allows Moitia to catch up before the entrance of an alleyway. He comes to a full stop as he gestures for Moitia to walk ahead, casting about the surroundings, his movements precise and finely honed as any artisanal blade. Once he's satisfied, he follows directly behind. His hand always rests on the hilt of his sword, but his grip has tightened marginally, Moitia notices. This looks familiar. Though that caution is warranted enough, Moitia supposes. The first thing that they notice upon entering this alleyway is how close the buildings are crowded together. Gone are the wide open streets, even the tall reaches of buildings spaced out enough to allow sunlight to flood honeyed and bright over the pavement. We must stay focused, brothers! We must stay focused! Here, shadows reign king. Whatever sunlight reaches past the shapes of the building is divided into slices, interspersed only sparsely between planes of darkness. And even in the dimmer lighting, it takes very little effort to see how different this place is from the grandeur of the palace grounds. The building facades are spotted with cracks, with patches of metal, hastily sewn together and bolstered where old rock and plaster have begun to crack. Even the plants woven through the foundation, meant to hold together those myriad of components, seem weary and stringy. Stringy. Leaves drooping as if they're struggling to carry their own weight. And then there are the stairs. Though they had been maintaining a careful, steady pace trudging ahead, Moitia finds their footsteps halting abruptly, dirt grinding underfoot as they respectively look upwards. A curtain of somewhat overhead rattles, and Moitia realizes the strange prickling sensation they had felt at the back of their neck was someone watching them. Please keep going, Moitia. Right at the next fork, then forward. Don't worry, I won't allow anything to happen to you. First of all... Thank you! Moitia nods and resumes their steady plot forward, but they keep their gaze trained ahead, refusing to acknowledge the click of metal parts, the wave of a tail, the gleam of pale eyes gazing at them from overhead. They think, something about this place feels vaguely familiar. Vaguely would be the most important word. It's not as if Moitia gets a sense that they've previously been a resident of the back alleys before losing their memory. No! Fuck! God damn it! We'll fix that in a second. That will get fixed. Keep that in mind. But simply... robbed. But simply that they were not a resident of those glittering palace grounds either, if not for the chipped facades and uneven surfaces of these narrow streets, speckled with patches of metal in lieu of proper repairs don't feel foreign to them. Please, this way please, we're almost there. But perhaps that matter was best left to be contemplated a later time. For now, they should focus on the here and now, on this doctor that might elucidate the matter of their lost memories. That's a fun word. Left, right, left. Straight down, then one more left. It's a twisting serpentine path that Vacute directs Moitia down, and more than once, they wonder how far they are from the palace grounds. It can't be too far, given how they don't feel terribly tired, but the sheer difference of this place and those towering spires make it feel further than it actually is. We're going to be seeing this a lot, we're sure. It's a small row of squat buildings that Vacute eventually directs them towards. Sunnier than the surrounding alleyways, and in a strange way, less foreboding than the narrow alleys that they had been traversing thanks to the low buzz of noise. Though it's nowhere near as bustling as the wide streets closer to the palace, Moitia finds themselves relaxing to the muffled sounds of conversation taking place somewhere nearby, the distinct chatter of objects being moved about, the footsteps echoing down another alleyway walking away from them, the gentle sounds of normal life taking place beyond these patchwork walls. Yeah, it's about to start. I can't stop it. No, I'm just gonna run it. We'll be back. We're gonna take this time to take a sip of water. Ugh. Motherfucker. Here. We don't want to, like, keep reading without everyone else being here, so I'm just gonna wait for the ad to end. Their footsteps drag for a moment as they look through the darkened window of what appears to be a storefront. But Moitya perks up with the sound of fingers wrapped at a door. Vakut stands before the door of a small building, the sign above it reading Clinic. Come in. The voice that responds after a moment is muffled by the heavy metal door, though Vakut gives a slight cant of the head as if considering something. He turns to Moitya soon enough and smiles. Of course he smiles. It seems he's in, fortunately. Let us enter. Of course. The door opens smoothly, which in and of itself is a small surprise given the probable age of the building. It swings forth on hinges without a single noise of complaint when Vahek? What is Vahek doing here? Vakut gives it a light tug. Though Moitya makes to enter first, Vakut smoothly interferes, steps in first before Moitya can do so, and leads the way. Oh. Just... yeah. Anyway. It would be hard for Moitya to state what exactly they're expecting from a doctor's office in these dingy back alley clinic doctor, my beloved. But regardless of what it was, the sight that awaited them past the heavy metal doors and down a short hallway isn't it. Sunlight filters syrupy and warm through a window, filtered through a delicate curtain of greenery, illuminating a room that feels more cozy than it does clinical. The steady sounds of cascading water and the inviting spread of a soft blanket only add to the gentle ambiance. Moitya eagerly tries to peer under Vakut's arm to get a better look at the owner of the clinic. Surely a man who would put the time and care into crafting such an inviting atmosphere must be a kindly one. Surely. You! Why are you here? You gave us permission to enter. Not you! The air in the office seemed cozy. That felt so cozy just moments ago immediately tightens with tension. The close quarters seem to shrink claustrophobically as the two glare to each other. Vakut's warily stationed by the entrance, and the stranger standing by the bed, where he seems to have just risen. So hurry! His tail lashes angrily behind him as he bristles, the pale of his fur standing on end as his voice pitches lower into a growl. What are you doing here? He's got nipples! Leave him alone! I apologize for failing to announce myself in a clear fashion. Don't call me that! My apologies, Sarah Vasa. I am here on business with Sarah because he's a mammal. Mammals have nipples. Anger flashes bright and sparks in those pale eyes. And Moitya finds himself standing straighter when the stranger's Jesus! Moitya finds himself standing straighter when the stranger's glare turns to them. Though Vakut's kept his head bowed, Moitya catches sight of movement at the periphery of their vision. Vakut flexing his hand, narrow fingers straightening and then clenching into a fist. Yeah, no, he's got 4 arms. He needs 4 tits. He's out getting supplies. I'm watching the place for now. So get out. I don't give a fuck about you. With all due respect, then we'll wait for his return. The stranger's lip curls in unabashed disdain, but no immediate rebuke comes. Instead, he only glowers in silence before taking a half step forward, closing the distance between them by a fraction. This is what you wanted? This is what you wanted? Did you want to look to see what was down there? Do you want to... yeah, you know it's big. And who asked you? Wojciech forced his fall back a step when Vakut abruptly straightens up, his own tail scraping against the floor as it curls up protectively. The hand he had kept resting on the pommel of his sword this entire time tightens until Wojciech can hear the leather grip creak. The man's voice, normally so genial and pleasant, is tight with warning. Sarah, Bassa. What, dog? And just as the tension in the air breaks unbearable levels so thick that it prickles at the skin like electricity, there's a sudden sound of the door being thrown open. There he is! Hey, what's going on in here? What's going on here? Rosha, I asked you to watch the place for a single hour. Why do I return to the sound of an argument? I nearly dropped my supplies hurrying back. Like a small bubble of oil being lit with a flame, the stranger's hostility flares hotter for a split second before abruptly subsiding. Though the gleam of sharp teeth never subsides, the man's lip is still curved in a half smile, or half snarl. His tone of voice pitches down from that vicious snarl to a lower growl. Some mangy dog shows up dragging trash from the streets, and you expect me to say quiet? Come now, Rosha, is that any way to speak? Despite his considerable bulk, the new stranger navigates these cramped quarters with impressive ease. Anyway. Smooth as anything, he snakes his way past Vakut and touches a hand feather light to Moita's shoulders to ease them aside. Even the heavy thumps of his footsteps, punctuated by the gentle scratch of leather-bound claws against the floorboards, does nothing to mitigate the ease of his movements, and it feels perfectly natural as he enters the room and places himself between the two parties that had been bristling at each other just moments ago. The bristling stranger from before only glowers for a moment before reluctantly retreating several paces, probably to avoid getting jostled by the larger newcomer's tail. Anyhow, I certainly didn't expect to be paid a visit by you, Vakut. What brings you here? Smoke plumes steadily from Vakut's pipes, but he otherwise remains motionless for a moment. Wojciech can sense his gaze turning towards the man that he's just been at odds with, evaluating him for a moment longer before all signs of hostility vanish from his demeanor. You were like, that's just a furry. That just has another set of arms. Where's the meat? Where is the meat? This is just potatoes. I offer you the meat. Ever smooth, ever genial, he offers this newest arrival a deep bow. Good afternoon. My apologies for making an appearance without sending you a message beforehand, but Yermalai has had a very sudden request for you to make of you. Something, laying pipe, something. He's got 2 legs. Oh, Wojciech thinks with no small amount of relief. So this is the doctor. Though admittedly knowing a little of the demeanor of what the ideal doctor should have, that hostile stranger hadn't seemed like a particularly inviting position. Yermalai did. What a welcome surprise. It's been a while since we've spoken. From deeper within the office comes the contentious click of a tongue, no doubt voiced by that hostile stranger, but both Vakut and the doctor seem content to ignore it. Wojciech, too, tries to pay it no further attention. Yes! He has 2 dicks! 2 of them! Double penis. And does his business involve this lovely guest you've brought along? Called us lovely? Shit! Anyway. My apologies that your welcome was so rough, Saria. I assure you that I usually make every effort to make my guests feel more at ease. 2 bitches. 2 bitches. Twice the bitches. Next question. The doctor's tail tip draws a little arc in the air as he turns to look at Moitia. light gleaming off the smooth curves of his spine as he gives a curious cant of the head. Head? Sure. Moitia would loathe to admit it out loud, but it's a charming jester. It is! You're right! It's so good. Oh, it's so good. Oh. I find him so charming and so, like, he's got me kicking my little feet. That was quite a charming gesture. Ah, it's only once the words have left their lips that Moitia realizes they fail to sequester that thought within their mind. Perhaps it's a small consolation that they've received an encore performance of that curious little tail flick, and the good doctor is silent for a moment before responding with a hearty laugh. My, to think I'd be greeted by such flattery. I suppose it makes up for having to put up with such a rowdy house sitter. But Saria, you took the words from my mouth. 'Tis an honor to be graced by the presence of such a delightful gift. Ah! 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 Anyway, kicking our little feet, dude. This is awful. For such a large and imposing man. Shit, yeah, he's big. The doctor has surprisingly soothing presence. Everything from the liding echo of his voice to the seamless way he lowers himself to a bow, to the slight wiggle of his tail as he straightens up, exudes an easy charm. Are we? Please allow me to introduce myself. My name is Timur, the owner and sole doctor running this humble clinic. Though I'm sure Yermala has told you much already. Told you as much. I'm thrilled to make your acquaintance on this most blessed day, Saria. My name is Moitia. Ah, no, Timur is just fine, Moitia. Please, just call me Timur. My name is Moitia. Timur. Ah, how bold to refer to this one in such familiar terms upon first encounter. 'Tis a grave offense, but how can I help but forgive it when it comes from one so sweet? This man is about to ha! Ho! Ha! Ha! Ah! Anyway. First of all, you don't see us in the replies of that one. You don't see us. We're not there. You don't see that. Saria, please don't tease our guests too much. Yermalai would be troubled. Well then, now that introductions have been made, please excuse me, Saria, I will wait outside until Moitia's business is complete. Oh, are you sure, Vacuum? I don't mind at all if you wait here. Vacuum and Moitia, though they feel some guilt about it, gaze drifts from Timur to the barely visible shape of the hostile stranger where he sits on the one edge of the bed. If he feels the two pairs of eyes staring, he seems adamant on ignoring them, staring staunchly out the window instead. After a pointed moment, Valcute gives Moitia a smile, as blandly pleasant and opaque as ever. I'll just be outside, so please call for me if you need of my presence. But I know I'm leaving you in good hands. The doctor will treat you well. I'm fucking the doctor, not you. Not you, not your little bodyguard, and most certainly not the librarian. I'm fucking the doctor. Then by your leave. His faith in Timur must be true. Whatever qualms Valcute has regarding the hostile stranger lurking in Timur's office, he turns cleanly on heel he doesn't have heels. With no further hesitation and strides down the small corridor. His neat footsteps echo just a few times before there's a quick click of the door opening and the thump of it closing. Did you get Paneer? Oh, Paneer. Stop! No! First of all, the slime man cannot see me in my most simping, okay? They followed us back on Twitter, and we can't have that. I see that one is as devoted as ever, eh? I do wish Yermalai's influence would rub off on him a bit more. No, please! But no matter for now. Come, Moitia, come in. Timur's hands are large and surprisingly gentle. Oh, even as those clawed, fingertips barely prickling past the fabric of Moitia's sleeve when a hand pats their shoulder and nudges them forth. And finally, Moitia properly steps into the cozy-looking clinic. The sunlight is even warmer inside. Stop! leave us alone! The gentle lilt of flowing water and muffled sounds of conversation from outside proving a pleasant backdrop to the sounds of their own footsteps. One can't help but take a deep breath upon entering the room, taking in the clean scent of greenery, punctuated by the sharper tang of cleaning alcohol. Moitia gets the time span of precisely 2.5 breaths to enjoy the wonderful ambiance before a grating voice captures their attention once more. So, what are you? I'm a guest. Not what I was asking. But that is exactly what you asked. You asked me what I am. Hence, my answer was perfectly appropriate. I don't like him, but I'm gonna fuck him regardless. The man glares in silence for a moment, eyes flashing bright with anger and tail lashing an angry arc through the air. Then he surges forward with starting fluidity, footsteps barely making a noise against the flooring. Moitia makes take a stumble back, only to find themselves stopped by the grab of fingers into their collar. Are you just pretending to be stupid, or are you really dense? You saying that overgrown, spoiled brat sent you will satisfy me? If anything, that just makes me more suspicious. Why would he be sending some expensive-looking doll to these back alleys? Now, Rosha. Settle down, please. Please. Boy, I can only hope that nobody outside heard all of your shouting. If all of my hard work establishing this place as a safe grounds is for naught because of your hollering, I will be upset, you know. Please DM it to us so we can see it. Just realized it says Rosha, like, question mark? Like, is that his name? Perhaps it's a testament to the doctor's good reputation that the man grudgingly untangles his fingers from Moitia's collar after a moment. Or perhaps the exasperated words simply been enough to cool his anger? At any rate, Moitia breathes a quiet sigh of relief as they straighten their collar. Good, good. Now let us converse like civilized people I know we are, shall we? Those jovial words earn a low click of the tongue, but the hostile stranger gives no other retort as he slinks back towards the bed and sits at the edge of the mattress. By the way, that is my friend, Rosha. Please do forgive him for being a little ornery. I imagine he's normally quite the sweet, friendly kitten, if a little rambunctious. It's just that he, regarding Yermalai, well, no, pretend you didn't hear that. Just don't worry about him. I assure you no harm will befall you so long as I'm here. Understood, Timur. Very good. It's not my style to leave my guests feeling so antsy, you see. I do hope you'll feel at ease while you're here. Now then, to get back to business. How can I help you, dear Moitia? I must admit I didn't expect to be sent any guests from Yermalai, and a doll of all people. Your circumstances must be quite unusual. Well, Moitia takes a deep breath, and knowing there's no other way to make their circumstances sound not absurd, they launch into their explanation as swiftly and as efficiently as possible. I was involved in an incidental collision with Yermalai's automaton, and it seems to have lost my memories as a result of the accident. And I was told that, as a doctor, you might be able to offer me some advice on how to handle this predicament. Timur can't be blamed for needing a good, long moment, perhaps even two, to fully absorb the deadpan rally of information. But what's more surprising is the noise that comes from deeper in the office, from that plush little bed. You're kidding! The Gilded Princeling ran you over with his automaton! And not just that, he ran you over hard enough to rattle your little skull! Really? That's technically correct, yes. He ran me over hard enough to jostle the contents of my head. So he trampled you with his ridiculous fluff ball of his. I wish I could have seen the look on his prissy little face when it happened. Too bad about your little head, though. The pain aside, it can't be too dignified a way to lose your memories. I suppose it wasn't. That offer of, does Moitra even dare consider it so? Sympathy seems so seamless yet so jarring compared to the man's demeanor thus far that Moitia can't help but be startled by it. And perhaps though Royta's chuckle is quick to peter off as he settles back into a slouch at the bed's edge, Moita wonders if it's perhaps a direly ill first impression that isn't all there is to this man. I don't care. Maybe. Perhaps. Anyhow, I understood the gist of your problem, dear Moita, and I can understand why Yermalai would want to do his utmost to get you the help you need. He's always tried to be responsible for his mistakes, and I imagine he's quite worried about your well-being, even if he's appearing. Stop! We're trying to. You have to stay focused, brothers! We must stay focused! Even if he's trying to appear cheery. I understood all that, but. Why is it that he sent you to me? I'm a doctor, not a machinist, and I've barely any experience handling dolls at all, let alone one that might have incurred a serious injury. Did he tell you why? A reasonable query. Rosha, too, seems curious to hear the answer, if the idle switch of his tail is any indication. Yes, that's because... None of these feel like particularly pointed answers. Fury Faith? I feel like talking about the fact that I'm an antique doll is probably going to... This one here? Yeah, I feel like this one. Saria PewDiePie suggested it. He stated, as an antique doll, I contain enough natural components that a doctor's assistance might be useful. Or something to that nature. I admit his explanations were rather quick. Ah, my old friend! I see his mannerisms haven't... God, he's so... Ah! 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 Well, I promise it's no sign of ill will or malice. He's simply never been the personable sort, and the fact that he's entertained you with an explanation at all means he's willing to tolerate you as more than a simple guest. It does? It does indeed, for those guests he can barely tolerate who refuse to say more than 3 words. An abuse of his position as keeper, but how will they replace him? And his reasons for detesting guests is usually reasonable enough. That aside, I see. Thank you for your explanation. I can at least understand what he was thinking. I suppose our next course of action is obvious then. It is? It is! Now, Moita, if you would just stay still for just a moment while I conduct a brief examination of you. Oh, yes, certainly. Of course, what other logical conclusion is there? Timur is a doctor, so it makes sense that he would act as a doctor should, treating Moita as the impromptu patient they are. So, Moita strives to stand as still as they can, hands loose at their sides at Timur's instructions, back straight and head held high. The instructions come to cough, clear their throat, take a deep breath, and as they try to keep the bubbles contained in their chests as Timur taps at their back. It's only as they're giving the slow exhale that they realize that Roche has fixed them with a hard stare. Harder than his other stares, at least. You know, even if I'm warming up to you a little bit, I still don't trust you. And what makes you say that? Now, Moitia, please stand still. I'll be looking at the joint of your neck for fractures. You know how rare it is for dolls to end up in these back alleys in the first place? And you're not just a doll, but an antique? Yermalai sent his lapdog to accompany you because he knew if you were on your own, thieves would have whisked you away and had you dismantled for parts by sundown. You know that, don't you? Can't think of any other reason why rich nobles employ you. Employs. Whatever. What the fuck? Can't think of any other reason why whatever rich noble employs you would even let you wander outside of their grounds, let alone on the streets outside. You can tell Timur whatever story you want, but I'm not fully convinced you're some underhanded trick that overgrown shrub's pulling. I feel like this is the funny answer, but also this one, which one? Violence! Would you like to have me dismantled, Russia? Not what I said. So you wouldn't like to see me dismantled? Not what I said either. Which is it then? Oh, don't mind it, dear Moitia. Despite his foul mouth, Rosha's quite the sweetheart, I promise you. If he hasn't threatened you himself, it's as good as guarantee he'd rather see you in one piece. I see. Thank you, Timur. Can't tell if you're on my side or just trying to be a hindrance, Timur. In any case, Moitya, I've almost finished my examination, if you'll hold still for a moment longer. Yes, of course. There's no further warning. Oh, boy. Hello. There's no further warning before Timur suddenly leans in very close. Very close. So close that Moitya can smell the cold edge of steel, the faint scent of polishing oil, and the odd chemical tang that most alloys carry about them. Moitya, however aware that Timur is a doctor and thus probably just going about his job, strives to stand as still and as straight as possible. And indeed, the man bends his neck down to glance at the lock centered in Moitya's chest, peering into the keyhole and tapping at the casing around the lock's perimeter. 1 breath passes, then 2. Just as Moitya is wondering how much longer they'll have to hold their breath, Timur retreats back a step with an easy wave of the hand. Thank you for your patience, dear Moitya. All done. Or, by any chance, were you hoping for something more from me? Ha! Anyway. Would you blame me, Timur? You were leaning in very close. It's rude to surprise someone like that. Right you are, Moitya. I should have warned you more implicitly before making such a daring move. Whatever shall I do to make it up to you? Despite what he says, there's a complete lack of warning when Timur leans in again, bumping the tip of his head against Moitya's temple for just a moment, long enough to feel the touch of steel against the base of their horn. It's warmer than they expect. Perhaps that will do? Then Timur pulls back, mirth in his voice and his tail drawing pleased arc in the air. His words are more sincere than playful when he adds gently, Please rest assured that I respect you very much as a patient, and I would never betray the trust that you, Yermalai, and PewDiePie have put into me. I'm gonna kiss him! Ha! And speaking of, Moitya, I'm ready to relay my verdict to you. Yes? Even if Moitya's thoughts wish to linger on the prospect of what something more Timur was mentioning, their priorities are still clear. Whatever judgment Timur is making as a doctor is far more important than the ambiguous rounds of flirting. It is that! I truly have no new information to offer you, Moitya. You have my sincerest apologies. Well, I can't say I'm entirely surprised. Thank you regardless. They say nothing of the disappointment that lingers at the corner of their thoughts. It's not Timur's fault that he's been saddled with this strange and unfamiliar task after all. Of course, and thank you for understanding. As a doctor, it vexes me that it can't be of more use to you, but the maintenance of dolls is unfortunately so far out of my purview that I have little to offer you. I can at least confirm PewDiePie's assessment that your natural components seem to be hard at work. I did discover a tiny hairline fracture upon your back that seems to be recovering. The glass has formed a topmost coat in order to fuse together. So it's worth having some faith in PewDiePie's guess that you should be able to recover from your injury given time, would be my tentative assessment. I see. And, of course, if a mechanist were able to open your lock and take a closer look at your core, they might be able to glean some more information about your injury. But I'm afraid it's been many years since I last saw a mechanist around these streets, let alone one versed in the handling of antiques. I can get in contact with those who might know of one, but I'm afraid I can't make any guarantees. It's admittedly far from the ideal answer that... Oh, hold on. Hold on! The Moitya was vaguely hoping for. Hold on, I gotta give you keys. Degenerates! But it isn't the worst, either. Though Moitya knows little of their employment, their status, and their past, they somehow get the feeling they've endured worse hardships than this before. Simply surviving this world while lacking memory should be manageable, they think. Understood. Thank you so much for your assistance, Timur. And I would appreciate your continued help. But in the meantime, I suppose I should excuse myself. You should? Yes? And where are you off to, my friend? Moitya hesitates for a moment. Hold on, we have... If only because actually putting their thoughts into words has caused them to balk. Perhaps they had been too hasty about making assumptions about their next step? That's too many abouts. I had assumed I would be returning to the palace with Vakut. Ermeli insisted upon my swift return, and I presumed he'd be willing to offer me shelter while I recover. To do so would be uncharacteristic of him, I think. Ah, a return to the royal palace, I see. I suppose that's fair enough. But in the case you tire from the day's events, I can offer you shelter here, in my clinic. I want him to hold me. You have no obligation to take it, of course, but I'm sure you've had a long way, and the palace is far from these streets. I'm gonna sleep in his bed! And given how little help I've been, a warm bed is the least I could offer you. There's no need for you to apologize, Timur. That polite denial comes first. After all, Moitya does truly believe that the man had done everything within his powers. But apology changes nothing about Moitya's lost memories. Instead, the more pressing matter is about Timur's kind offer, whether to return to the royal palace or remain here. Am I stupid? In the end, it's difficult to deny how tired Moitya feels after the hectic day. He feels like Timur simply acknowledged their weariness has only made it double over the last few moments. So they decide to accept the kind offer. And who said they could just stay here, huh? As abrupt as it is, Moitya almost isn't surprised by the rude introduction from Rosha. I did, of course. Would you like me not to? It doesn't sit well with me having someone from the palace lurking here, but I'll permit it since Timur invited it. How haughty, Moitya can't help thinking. They're not sure if they meant it affectionately or diversively. Either way, Rosha doesn't wait for any further response before sliding off the bed and slinking towards the door. I'm leaving for the night, but if I hear about anything suspicious happening here come morning... He lets that sentence trail off dramatically, swishing his tail once and turns heel and glides down the corridor. As before, his grace and silence are shocking in the face of how rough his movements are. Wah! And while the loud slam of the door he leaves in his wake, followed by the muffled sounds of Vacuum politely greeting him a good evening and responding with a surly "shut up," is hardly pleasant, it's an oddly soothing note of finality to those sounds. Shoo! Like they're clear markers for the end of a long, long day. The room that Timur has prepared for Moitya turns out to be a terribly cozy affair. Moitya, of course, can't say for sure if they've stayed in such a homely arrangement before, but they think it's unlikely. Though they're certain they must have had some sort of home in the past. The warmth and comfort of the room that Timur had welcomed them into feels entirely alien. Wet metal! Oh, yeah, anyway. Not that it's anything lavish, the room is a little small, if anything. The ceiling low, the door frame even lower, and Timur has come dangerously close to knocking something or other off each time he circled the place. With the simple furniture clad in layers of stitched and quilted fabric, the small window overlooking the quiet streets of the back alley, and the gentle scent of greenery wafting up from Timur's office allow a sense of peace that Moitya can't clearly remember experiencing before. It's nice. There are few other words for it. Exhaustion tugs at their limbs, rendering their movements heavy, and they collapse bonelessly into the modestly sized bed. The frame creaks in complaint, the mattress sinking beneath their weight, and they try not to dwell on those things. Instead, they strive to focus on the day's events. The dizzying introduction to the grandiose Ermeli and his faithful guard Vacuum. The introspection from the brisk Purity pile amid those towering walls of books. The long trek through the back alley, so narrow and still somehow alluring. The introduction of the exuberant Timur and his inexplicably hostile companion, Rosha. The final verdict from the kind doctor that the best solution might simply be time. The strange tension between those of the palace and those of the back alley, the sense that there's more to these people than they let on. And of course, the mystery concerning their own lost memories. There's still a great deal that they wish to figure out, and though PewDiePie and Timur have insisted that simply waiting to see if time would return the memories is a viable option, Moitya feels it isn't in their nature to simply wait. Perhaps a new day will bring more chances to seek answers. Yes, surely it will. But for now, sleep overtakes the doll before they're even aware of it, wrapping warm and overwhelming around them like the embrace of an overbearing lover. Yay! So that is the demo. First of all, Ink Ethic does excellent work. And Epic equally is an amazing artist, and everything about it is beautiful. And Ink's writing is so very good. And it's just, we're so excited! We can't wait for the game to come out. We're very excited. Don't think either of them are in chat. We shall check very quickly. But if they happen to see, either one of them happen to see this, just thank you so much for this beautiful, beautiful game that you guys are creating. And we're really excited to see just how far it's going to go. And play the entirety of it and cry the entire time. Yeah, we figured Ethic was streaming. They typically are. But, we kind of don't really have anything else planned for tonight. That was kind of it. That was what we wanted to do tonight, was just to gush about this game that this game that we have been enjoying the development of, and the creators that we enjoyed a lot of. Stop! Stop! Quit. Don't be mean to me. Pop this back on. But yeah, that was the Pyreside Waltz demo. We're very, 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 very excited for it. And yeah, no, that's pretty much it. Was the music back on? Oh fuck, we forgot to switch it over from just chatting. It's fine. Is Pyreside in here already? No. Yeah, it's not a category anyway, so. Drugs. It would have been fine. It was fine to not, change the category over. Oh gosh, that's very creepy. Let's see, we don't really have much of anything else. Stop! We're stretching already! I didn't really think of anything else. We're gonna work on improving the model slowly over time, and then eventually just kind of do one big overhaul. But for our first, time rigging it, and, actually, playing around in live 2D, this was, very exciting, and very, very good, and very, very fun! We would like to do this more. So, if you know any VTubers that need rigging or art, hit us up. Juicicle is the artist. Oh, shit. Hello. That was weird. Juicicle is our lovely artist. It's no longer recognizable as the original model. LOL. And we did the rigging, and if you know anyone that's looking for Theseus's bug, we would love to take on some work at a very discounted price, because this is very fun for us and we've been enjoying it immensely, and now that we're done with ours, we want another one to play with! I think that's it for shoutouts, really. Oh, shout out to Sucrabus, Ciabatta Boy, and Wing Gallo for just being super. They're already debuted VTubers that have been super, super lovely and awesome and wonderful, and have been an immense love. And they've just been really supportive while we've been trying to work with us. That's kind of it. Yeah, that's all of our shoutouts. We don't have very many. Yeah, that sucks a little bit. Well, with that, we're going to. You want more Wiggles? Why do you want more Wiggles? Hold on. Do you want us to zoom out for Wiggles? We can zoom out for Wiggles. Is this what you want? Is this what the people want? I'm zoomed out for Wiggles. I'm actually gonna change some minor things about how the model sits, how different things look. We just wiggle like this in real life, so it's fine. Other than that, though. Thank you everyone for showing up. It's been a wonderful debut. This has honestly gone super well, and we're really happy that everyone came and showed up for this thing that we're very excited to show off. We should make a bug emote. Hopefully, we will start having a bit more consistent stream schedule now that life is no longer beating us the fuck up. Fingers crossed. We are gonna start posting our schedule every Sunday around noonish EST. That was our idea to gaslight you guys with the likes. Don't blame them for that. But we're gonna start trying to do scheduled stuff. So this week we have Lobotomy Corp and I forgot what the other thing. Oh, Dance of Fire and Ice. Yeah, so that is what we've got on the agenda for now. And as we sort of realize what kind of variety we want to do, we'll start doing more indie stuff and doing a couple more visual novels. We've got one that's Discord, like themed around like a Discord server. It's super cute. Juice and I were playing it a little bit, and we got the bad end. XYX, my beloved. But yeah, so we're gonna head off for the night. We're gonna shut down, take a break, and then we will see you in 3 days? 2 days? How many days? 2 days? 3 days? A few days! Who cares? It doesn't matter. Yeah, a few days. Doesn't matter. Good night, everyone! Wednesday!